listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome to Alive Again on Pet Life Radio. My name is Brent Atwater, and I'm the animal medium. Well, what does that mean? It means I'm the authority on animal life after death and pet reincarnation. Well, how can I claim that? I've been researching this for almost 20 years, have written multiple books, and have a dog with a bee on his bottom. If you'd like to meet us, come on over to our Facebook page. We have a Pet Life Radio Facebook page, or you can find me under the Animal Medium, or you can find me under Brent Atwater Pet Loss. So today, this is going to be a really fun show for me, and I hope you will appreciate it, but I have to share. People are always saying to me, well, what was the reading like? Well, what was the reading like? Well, what'd you talk about? Usually, and you'll see, I believe it's show number 22, I explain how I do a past life, current life, and future life reincarnation reading. So go on up there, check it out, and that'll sort of tell you how I do a reading. And on those readings, it's really interesting because all the pets respond differently. And today, I'm going to talk about 4 pets that taught me things that after 20 years of doing this, I wasn't aware of. And it's really interesting because it just blew my mind when it was happening, and I'm sure that some of this will just make you laugh as it did me and as it did the owners. Now, one of the things you do need to know is that I do ask each of the owners that I have worked with if I may use their story, and they each have given me permission, and for that I'm very grateful because that way I'll be able to share it with you. Another thing we're doing, you might want to go over on YouTube under my channel, Brent Atwater, or The Animal Medium, and you'll find that we're going to be doing a lot more YouTube videos, and one of the YouTube videos is about Blanche, and she is the first one I'm going to talk about today. Blanche was a homely little rescue beagle, bless her heart, and she was adopted by Amy. So when I started the reading, I'm sitting there going, okay, find Blanche's energy. I've said my prayer, I'm looking in the universe, and I'm beaming up her energy. I can't find Blanche. And I'm going, oh. So for about 15 minutes, I'm trying to find Blanche. In between, since Amy was a friend, we were talking back and forth, and I kept saying, Amy, I can't find Blanche. Now, when you find an energy, what you're looking for is that specific individual energy's frequency. Just like tuning into a radio station, we tune into the animal's frequency. So I had set the frequency for dog frequency, looking for Blanche. Diddly-lip, looking for Blanche. Diddly-lip, looking for Blanche. And I had asked Blanche, will you give me permission to talk to you today? Blanche said, sure, nothing to worry about that. I went, okay, fine. Well, got to be in a half an hour, and I just said, Amy, of course, we were talking girl talk in between, and shoes and chocolate and all things like that. And I said, Amy, I can't find Blanche today. She gave me permission to talk to her, but I can't find her. And I said, we'll just have to make another appointment. And everybody's going, well, why would you make another appointment? Well, a lot of times, and this is something for those of you who are listening to know, pets won't show up for a reading. They're out doing something else, and they're going, I don't need to take time for a reading today, and they won't do it. So as I'm saying to her, okay, let's set a time, let's get our calendars out, and let's make a reading, all of a sudden, Blanche's picture says to me, you didn't check angel frequencies. And I went, what? The picture said, you didn't check angel frequencies. And I went, of course I didn't check angel frequencies. You're a dog. I was looking for dog frequencies. The picture said, check angel frequencies. And I went, okay, tune to a higher vibration, go to another level. Off we go. Well, there's Blanche. Interesting. And all of a sudden, in the next hour and a half, Blanche is talking about everything. And some of the things, Amy afterwards said, wish Blanche hadn't told us that. And I said, well, I don't tell anybody, so don't worry about it. Blanche was very specific. But here's the point of learning. Blanche was an angel. She was the guardian angel of Amy. And she chose a homeless beagle form that was adopted by Amy to watch over her. So sometimes when you're looking at your pet, it might not be a dog at all. It might be an angel in dog form. And with that, we're going to come right back after we have a word with our sponsors.
Sit. Stay. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
I'm not much of a reader, but I do wish I were more well-read.
There are so many great books coming out. I wish I could find a way to keep up.
Audible.com makes it easy to stay well informed and catch up on your reading simply by listening. Audiobooks from Audible turn downtime into uptime. You'll be more productive and become well-read.
Now I'm able to catch up on all the great books I've been wanting to read.
With Audible, I feel smarter.
Pet Life Radio listeners, try Audible.com now and get your first 30 days of Audible Listener Gold membership plan free. And get a free audiobook. Choose from over 100,000 titles. To get this great deal, go to audibledeals.com. That's audibledeals.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
We're back with several more stories. And those of you who are listening for the first time, we sincerely appreciate it. Do check out our archives. All the shows are on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and you can get them 24/7, so there's no reason for you to say, well, I didn't get to listen to that episode. Go on back through the archives. They're always there. Another thing about it is, being a podcast, you can play it anytime you want. Now, stay tuned to my Facebook pages because soon we're going to have live shows, which means once a month you'll be able to call in and ask your question. You can't ask, well, is my pet reincarnated or not? No, that's a reading question. But you can ask all sorts of other questions, and we'll be announcing our live shows on our radio page or our animal medium page or my Brent Pet Loss page. Now, for those of you who are also new, we have the world's #1 resource for pet loss grief in our Facebook group. And we have thousands of members from all over the world, and we invite you to join us. If you'll look on our station, go right down above the podcast, and there's a link right on Pet Life Radio that you can click and join us in our Facebook group. And we'll look forward to seeing you over there because we have a very active and very lively discussions about animal life after death, signs, reincarnation, and you name it. A lot of times we'll take the book, my book, Animal Reincarnation, Everything You Wanted to Know, and we'll discuss concepts from that book. So if you want to learn, as Bob Barker says, come on down, and we'll look forward to talking with you. Now, my next reading, this is a quickie. This was about a cat. We had a cat named Faith who was absolutely delightful. And we were doing a past life reading of Faith. And Faith showed me in her past lives, she was a bunny. In the owner's past life, at age 14, she was her bunny. And then when she was between 6 and 8 years old as a young girl, she was a young kitten that visited her and stayed for about 6 weeks. So now Faith is back on her 4th incarnation. She was a tiger-striped kitty originally in this current life, and when she passed a year ago, now she's back as a white kitty. And I asked her in the reading, and I said, Faith, what are you going to look like when she come back? And she said, well, I'm going to have a little calm spot on the top of my head, and I'm going to be white. And I'm going, okay, why are you doing white? She said, I got tired of doing the tiger stripes, and I decided this time I'm coming back solid white. So under the Christmas tree this year, Faith arrived. And the most important thing for you to know is an animal can come back in multiple forms. We did a reading on Facebook. You'll see it says 2 live readings on pets, and both of the pets had reincarnated. And what you'll see is the dachshund was a cat in an earlier stage of life, and when it comes back again at a later stage, it's going to be a cat again. So remember, your pet chooses the most appropriate form to go with you through that stage of the journey that you are experiencing together. And don't always limit your mind to saying, well, it's going to come back exactly the way it was. No, they like to try on different clothes, different colors, and like to try different avenues like a bunny or a rabbit or a horse. They can come back in the form that is the most appropriate for you at that time in your life. And I really sincerely appreciate and had great fun with my live readings. So go see. A lot of people go, well, if you're an animal medium, you only talk to dead pets. Nope. I also talk to live pets and do past life readings on live pets and past life and reincarnation readings on live pets. And if you want to see the way we do that, there is a YouTube video on my channel, Brent Atwater, that says 2 live pet readings. So it's really fun because I had a great time with them, and it was a joy to help each of the owners. Now, the next pet is just a learning opportunity. Once again, it was a higher being in a form called Caleb. Caleb was a dog in Canada who just, and we have him on our website, was just sort of a plain-looking Alaskan Malamute, a little bit hound mixed in, and he and his mother were very, very, very close. Deanna, who we've had on our show before, and we thank her very much for all her opportunities to provide information as a guest, but today we're going to feature Caleb, her dog. In the middle of the night, Caleb stood by her bed and stared at her so hard that he woke her up. And when he woke her up, she was aware that the house was on fire. Ooh. And Caleb, by standing there staring at Diana and telepathically communicating with her, woke her up, and they saved their family. And now they had to build a whole new house because it burnt to the ground and they lost a lot of things. But Caleb, by standing there telepathically staring at her, woke her up and saved the entire family. Now, the good part about all of this is, that's a fabulous dog, and we call them God animals. And you say to yourself, well, what is a God animal if you've not heard about this concept? A God animal is an animal that comes on earth, is a master teacher, and will lead you through many of your life-changing journeys. So if you'll go to our Pet Reincarnation blog, www.petreincarnationblogspot.com, or if you're a member of our group, we have all of these resources at the top of the page so you can find them, because we like to have lots of learning resources for our members, and they always get the word first about what's happening with our radio shows, with our live events, and with our television shows. So the blog spot has a article on God animals. Go on over there and you'll be able to read all sorts of more information about God animals, or there's an entire section in our book, Animal Life After Death, or Animal Reincarnation. Now, after Caleb passed, we did a reading, and I asked Caleb if he was returning to Diana, and he said, no, I'm not. And I went, okay, and I remarked to Diana, I said, no, Caleb is not returning. And so I said, I guess we're through with the reading now. Well, at that point in time, Caleb said, but I am returning 2 more times. Well, I thought that was interesting, because most God animals do not return to the owner that they taught the massive lesson to. And I said to Caleb, well, Caleb, why are you returning twice more? He said, my assignment was the family. And I'll be coming back when Deanna's daughter is 14 years old, and I will be with her daughter. And then I'm going to come back with her granddaughter, who will be a blonde, blue-eyed little girl, and I will come back to her when she's 8 years old. So I said to Caleb, I said, Caleb, why? And he said, because each of those family members I'm to protect and to take care of. And Caleb was the first reading that I had done that actually a God dog was coming back on multiple occasions, except not to the initial pet parent, but to members of their family pod. And I thought that was very interesting. And when I watched Caleb cross over the death line, instead of reformulating into these new pets, Caleb crossed over the death line, which is a black, dark line, and then instead of turning into a sparkler form, turned into a tiny beam of light, and then completely dissolved into a whole screen of white, which told me he was really a higher being, again, taking a pet form. And when an animal is a pet and it reformulates for reincarnation, it recoagulates and transforms, sort of like the Transformers do, into the pet, and it shows me its parts. You know, like, look at my hair, look at my fur, look at my feet, don't I have great whiskers? And it shows you all its part. Well, when it's a higher being, it dissolves into pure white, and therefore you know it doesn't take a form until it chooses the form just before its reincarnation. Now, another part that's very interesting is a lot of people say, when does the soul go into the reincarnated body? That is the choice your pet makes. So everybody's always saying, well, when does it come in? When does it come in? Your pet makes that. It can go into a fetus and become a stillbirth after it leaves. It can come into the fetus and become a puppy. So your pet can come and go into the body it's going to inhabit when it chooses. And that's the most important thing. The pet makes the decision, and as we know, that's all in perfect timing. So one more word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Sit. Stay. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
Petco, where the pets go. Petco, where the pets go.
Pet Life Radio has tail-wagging, fur-flying, fabulous deals for our listeners from Petco. Get $6 off your order of $60 or more and up to 40% off the entire Petco site. That's right. But that's not all. Because you're a Pet Life Radio listener, you'll also get free shipping on your order of $49 or more. $6 off, up to 40% off, and free shipping from Pet Life Radio and Petco. To get these awesome deals, go to PetcoDeals.com. That's PetcoDeals.com.
Petco, where the pets go.
Victoria Schaefer, aspiring actress, babysitter extraordinaire, college student, and animal enthusiast, is on her own for the first time in New York City. Follow Victoria and her 2 dogs, Rue and Echo, as she cares for her furry friends and juggles home life and career, all the while managing to survive in the world's most hectic city. The exciting animal adventures and secret stories from both ends of the leash that make up the Tales of the City.
Every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
And now we're going to talk about Forrest. Forrest was a dog, a little Shih Tzu from Canada. OMG, was Forrest a personality. And Forrest to date was the most unusual reading I have ever experienced, the most exhilarating, inspiring, uplifting, horrendously funny, hold my sighs, crying tears because Forrest was just rocking it. And I was so excited to do the reading, and I really hope that there'll be many more Forrests in my life. And I really thank Jackie for allowing me to talk about Forrest today. But let's start the story of Forrest. Now, just before I get going, I want to invite everybody who, if you have questions about any of this when we get ready to do our live readings, be sure you like our Facebook pages, because that's where you'll receive the number to be able to call in for live calls, or in our Facebook group. You'll receive the number in our Facebook group, and it'll be on our, remember, Facebook pages, either the Animal Medium, Brent Atwater Pet Loss, or our Pet Life Radio Show. That's where you'll receive the access number for our live shows. Now, back to good old Forrest. Well, if you've listened to episode 22, or you've watched our YouTube video on how I do an animal reincarnation, past life, and future life reading, the first thing I do is say a prayer. So here I am saying a prayer, and Forrest is like bumping into my energy. And he is bumping into my energy so hard, I can hardly keep my prayer going straight, because it's like, dear God, I ask, and it's bump, and then here comes Forrest. And I finally had to say, Forrest, would you please just wait until I finish the prayer so that you can talk to me? Would you mind? Now, a lot of times, just like Blanche, I had to look and look and look and look and look, but oh no, not with Forrest. And as there are cats that sometimes will go, not talking to you, and you have to talk them into talking to you. Well, the minute I said, Forrest, may I have permission to talk with you, his energy was head bumping my energy and trying to get in there before I could even finish my prayer. So I knew right then and there it was going to be a most unusual reading. So we start the reading, and Forrest is like telling me everything. And a lot of the things, the owner was just going, oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Forrest is saying things like, I know why you put me out of the bedroom. I know what you and your husband were doing. And now on the other side, you can't put me out of the bedroom anymore. And I'm going, Forrest, you naughty boy. And he said, oh, no, I really liked being in the shower with her. And on and on and on and on. Forrest went with some of these, oh, my word, personal descriptions that are just most interesting. That's a good way to say that. So then I say to Forrest, Forrest, how about showing me your past lives? Well, most pets will immediately leave this lifetime and go back into the past. No, not Forrest. Forrest, being very self-assured, and lacking no self-esteem, proceeded to start at year 17, and then he showed me year 16, and then he showed me year 15, and then he showed me year 14, and then he showed me year 13. You're getting the thing here. And then he showed me year 12 and 11. So Forrest was so full of himself that he showed me every year of his life and the things that he liked every year in his life. And really, after a while, it just got to be funny. So we both just sat back and laughed. It was like watching a life in review, sort of like the Akashic Records. And Forrest was just showing everything he liked at every stage of his life. And so finally, when he got born, I said, well, now, Forrest, are you going to show me your past lives? Well, yeah. So then Forrest goes back and he shows me 2 or 3 past lives that he's had and what he's done and what he hadn't done, which I thought was really interesting. And it's like, okay. But the most interesting thing was the fact that he chose to show me year by year by year by year as he went back. Now, after we finished past lives, I said, Forrest, is there anything else you'd like to tell me? Well, you don't even want to go there. On and on and on he went. So after that, we got to where Forrest crossed over, and I said to him, all right, Forrest, we've looked inside your body. We know why you died. We know you were pain-free. We know you were really loved. Now let's cross over the death line. Well, normally when I watch a pet cross over the death line, their energy fades. The energy slides over the black void of no electromagnetic energy, which I call the death line, and it comes out on the other side like a sparkler. Ooh, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's like a 4th of July, explosive sparkler firework. It's just gorgeous, dynamic, alive, and shimmering. So we say, Forrest, go on over the death line. Well, Forrest goes and he puts a foot over and he sticks his nose halfway in and he comes back. And I'm going, Forrest, or go, nope. I want to know if I'm going to be able to do this, this, and this when I go over the death line. Yes, Forrest, you will. All right, then. So he puts his foot and his shoulder and his head, and he gets halfway up to his shoulder, and he pulls back again. And he says, I have some demands when I'm on the other side. Can I do this, this, and this? And went, yes, Forrest, you can. Forrest pulls back again. So Forrest starts over the death line again. He went, wait a minute. Am I going to be able to get the same amount of attention that I've been having on Earth if I go over there? Yes, Forrest. You'll be in spirit form. You'll be able to have more attention because in our book, Animal Reincarnation, we teach people how to connect with you. And Jackie will be able to touch you and see you and feel you and communicate with you. Oh, he says. And with that, after 4 times, Forrest slides on over on to the other side. Now, so here's Forrest on the other side. What does he do? He's in sparkler form. So for 10 minutes, no kidding you, we sat and watched Forrest swirl and twirl and do loops and do twirlies and do bounces with his sparkly form because he thought he was cute. And he'd run with his sparkler form and see how far it would stream out behind him. And then he'd jump up and down as a sparkler form to see if it would like splatter. And then he would do loop-de-loops to see if it would make circles. And the owner and I were laughing so hard because here is Forrest in sparkler form doing all of these loop-de-loops and dives and bounces and little spring steps and everything he could to test out this new sparkler form. Well, I was laughing so hard and crying at the same time. It was just absolutely hysterical, and it was one of the most fun afternoons I've ever had. So then I said, Forrest, are you going to reincarnate? It gets better. Forrest said, well, of course I am. Look at this face. Do you think with this face that I wouldn't reincarnate? And I'm going, oh no, Forrest, I'm sure. With that much personality, you wouldn't not grace the world again with your presence. So Forrest goes home, and he goes over, and he puts on brown fur. And he says, what do you think? And I'm going, so I start telling the owner, I said, well, it looks like Forrest is going to be brown. And he goes, no, I don't like this. Doesn't do my complexion well. And I'm going, okay. So I say, Jackie, Forrest is just taking off the brown fur now. He's trying on white fur. Now he's trying on white fur with spots. Well, Forrest, are you going to be white fur? Nope, don't like this. Gets dirty too quick. Not having it. Okay, Forrest, what color are you going to be? So after about 20 minutes of Forrest trying on all sorts of color combinations, we settled, or Forrest settled, on a lovely charcoal gray with silver tips and a few white accessories. And he's going to be a beautiful Shih Tzu when he returns. And then, interestingly enough, he turned over and he said, oh, on my back left paw, I'm going to have 3 black pads, and 2 of my pads are going to be pink. And I said, well, I told the owner they're going to be on the 3rd toe and the second toe from the outside. And she said, I've got a picture of Forrest sleeping now, and that was the exact same pad coloration he had on his back left paw when he was last alive. And I said, well, that will be one of the identifying markers of Forrest in this new incarnation. He will have that same back paw coloration. So after Forrest did all of his choosing, he told us when he was coming, where she could find him, and all sorts of things. And I'm quite frankly really looking forward to seeing Forrest alive and well in his new reincarnation, because I have never had an animal head bump me during my prayer to get my attention, have so much self-esteem that it showed me every year and the highlights of his life, wouldn't go over the death line without us meeting its demands, tried out its whirly form, and then tried out multiple outfits for its new incarnation. So with that, we'll have a word from our sponsor and come right back and meet Ben.
We'll transport back into the metaphysical right after these earthly words from our sponsors.
Dyson. The new Dyson Animal Vacs are powerful bagless upright vacuums for homes with pets. Air muscle and radio root cyclone technology generates the strongest suction power to powerfully remove dust, dirt, and pet hair from the home or car. To order your Dyson Animal Vac, go to DysonDeals.com. DysonDeals.com to order your Dyson Animal Vac today.
Dyson. Music to your ears. Hi, I'm Dr. Jeff Werber from Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff here on Pet Life Radio. We want to hear from you. Listen in. We're on every Thursday, 1 o'clock Pacific time, 4 o'clock Eastern time here on PetLifeRadio.com. We are here for you. We're trying to make life with your pets even better. I know that's hard to believe. It can even be better than it is, and hopefully it's fantastic already. The goal here is to answer your questions, help you out with your problems, anything you really wanted to know, but maybe you're afraid to ask your veterinarian, or maybe it was just too expensive to go to your veterinarian just to ask a few simple things. So that's what you got me for here at Pet Life Radio. Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff. Call in. We'll see you here on Thursdays.
Let's talk pets. Let's talk pets on Pet Life Radio. Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Well, after Forrest, there's not much more to say or do until I met Ben. Ben was from the UK and a wonderful black and white border collie. The most interesting thing about Ben was he told me his life. He did it all the way he should do. We looked at his past lives. There were several. We looked at his current lives, and I kept seeing a recliner. And I said to the owner, I keep seeing this recliner going up and down. This recliner's going up and down, and Ben's sitting there. I said, in all of 20 years of doing this, I have never seen a recliner in an animal's current reading. So I know you think I may not be doing my job, but I'm telling you, there's this Ben sitting there, and this is a recliner going up and down and up and down. And the owner said, oh yeah, that was my grandmom's recliner. Ben liked to push the button and watch it go up and down and up and down. And I went, okay. And that was most unusual, because usually the animal is showing me something from their perspective. But Ben was showing me his favorite toy. And his favorite toy was pushing the button on the recliner that made it sit up and made it go out. And made it sit up and made it go out. Then we crossed Ben. And Ben showed me that he was wrapped in a blanket to be taken to cremation. And then when we went to cremation, Ben crossed the other side. And when we got to the other side, Ben showed me, what he was going to look like as a new border collie. And then I said to him, well, Ben, is there anything you want to make sure that we know about again? And he says, yes, let's go back to my past life. So we go back to Ben's past life, and he shows me that his owner had been he was in an army suit. He showed me the stripes, and I heard the word corporal. And then he said, and we were in Westbury. And I'm going, what do you mean? He said, we were in Westbury. And I went, okay. He said, be sure to note that. And I went, all right. So as soon as we finished the reading, the owner and I looked it up. And Westbury happened to be on the coast of the United Kingdom. And that was one of the places in World War II where soldiers defended the country. And interestingly enough, we looked up the British corporal stripes on the picture that Ben sent me, and they are in Google as the British Corporal Stripes, and his owner was a corporal in the British Army in World War II defending his country. Now, it gets even better. Westbury also has a wonderful biking trail, and it is one of the national favorite biking trails in all of the UK. In his current life, Ben's owner is a bicycling, as he said, quote-unquote, fanatic. That's what he loves to do. So we found it very interesting that the very place he and Ben were back in World War II, he carried over his trait of enjoying cycling in the current life, and Ben is with him again. And when Ben goes into his third incarnation, there's lots more surprises. So I really enjoy my adventure with the animals, and I love the personalities, and each one provides a new lesson and a new learning opportunity. And I hope you've enjoyed this, because we'll be having more shows on some of the most interesting readings I've ever had. But don't ever think that your pet, be it in spirit or alive, doesn't know what's going on. And when I get to talk to their energy, you might hear it at a time that it's not appropriate, or it's something you might not want to know about that they're doing. So always know your pet is watching you, and if you're connected, they can talk to you, and they can tell what's been going on, whether they're on the other side or whether they're alive and well and sitting in your lap. Thank you so much for your time in listening to our show today. I do hope that if you're suffering from pet loss, you'll take advantage of our many resources, our YouTube videos, our Pet Life Radio, all the archives, and it can be found on iHeart and iTunes, and our book, Animal Reincarnation, Everything Your Heart Wants to Know, and for an ongoing forum, our Facebook group, Animal Reincarnation, the #1 resource in the world, and join our pages, Animal Medium, Brent Atwater Pet Loss, and our Pet Life Radio page, so you can get the number to be able to call in on our live radio shows. It's been a wonderful day. I've enjoyed chatting with you and sharing what these wonderful pets have shared with me. Bye-bye.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.